Hello, lovelies. So today we're going to be talking about trigger barking. Trigger barking is something that Chihuahuas are extremely good at, and it is a bit of a superpower for them. So, what is trigger barking? What does it actually look like? So, when we talk about trigger barking, generally we're talking about barking that's taking place in the home, possibly in the garden, and it is slightly separate from reactive barking at other dogs. So, trigger barking is barking that is your dog reacting to a stimulus, so or a noise or a visual. For instance, the a noise outside, your neighbor banging the car door, the bin going past, somebody walking past the window, post coming through the door. You get the idea. So it's your dog reacting in a highly extreme way to noises that they hear in the home, they hear outside in the garden. There is a little bit of a crossover between that and reactivity barking, if you've got like neighbors with dogs, etc. But for this purpose, we're just talking about noises that you kind of hear in the distance. So, what it looks like is your dog might be doing nothing, minding its own business, or appearing to mind its own business. Um, Here's a noise, and it's instantly up, it's instantly running about, and it's instantly barking. It's on full alert. Now, this is a Chihuahua superpower, but they're not the only dogs that do this. A lot of small breed dogs and larger breeds, I'm going to say, do trigger bark, but Chihuahuas, they take it right the way to the next level. So, um, it can be annoying for you if you're trying to work at home, you're trying to put the baby to sleep, or you're just trying to concentrate on something, to have to deal with this constant explosions of barking and crazy behavior. Hey there, lovelies. So I am going to guess, because you're watching this video, that you have a Chihuahua and your Chihuahua is barking. Now, Chihuahua barking or trigger barking is a Chihuahua speciality. That's the up and jumping around and barking at every noise they hear, people moving around outside, or things that they see going on in the environment. It can be a little bit annoying, especially if you're working from home, or you're trying to put the baby to bed, or you've got neighbors. When you're trying to deal with Chihuahua barking, lots of the methods that people will suggest, like squirting them with water, putting on a barking collar, end up making the problem worse, and they can end up impacting on your relationship with your dog. So if you need some help with Chihuahua barking, then just put the word barking in the comments below, and I will send you our free 12-step guide to reducing Chihuahua barking. So put the word barking, and I will send you a link to our free 12-step guide, and let me help you with your Chihuahua's behavior. So in order to understand why our dogs do this, we need to understand a little bit more about what's going on under the bonnet, what's going on in their brain. Because quite often, when a dog is running about barking like this, people don't understand why their dog is doing it, and they start to attach labels to it. Labels are one of the things that it comes up a lot in dog training. My dog is doing this because, and it generally they disempower the owner from understanding what's going on and doing something about the behavior in a positive way. For instance, trigger barking when people go past the window, people go, oh, well, he's protecting the house. Or your dog might bark at a noise outside, or something along like that, and he's protecting you, or he's trying to be dominant, or there can be any range of different labels that people will put on the behavior in order to try and kind of understand it. So what's going on in the brain? So your dog basically has the same brain system that we do. They have a flight or flight system, they have a prefrontal cortex, and they have a reticular activating system. And these things work together in order to create responses to behaviors. So the reticular activating system is a gland that sits at the base of the brain and acts like a switchboard. And your dog receives a signal. the reticular activating system will make a decision about where that stimulus needs to be patched through to. Does it need to go through to the amygdala, which is part of the dog's flight or flight system, or the drama almond, or can it be patched through to the prefrontal cortex, which is calmer thinking and sensible decision making? If your dog is up and charging about when it hears a noise, then the reticular activating system is patching that through to the amygdala and is creating a flight or flight response. Basically, your dog has heard something, has become aware of something, and has asked itself, is this important to me? Yes, it is, and it is reacting accordingly. Now, quite often, those behaviors, the barking and the lunging, are what we call avoidance behaviors. Avoidance behaviors are a suite of behaviors that dogs pick in order to make something go away. So, if your dog is barking at another dog in the street, he isn't protecting you. He's barking at that other dog because the presence of that dog is worrying to him. He's asked himself, what does that mean for me? He's decided it's bad and he has dropped into an avoidance behavior, barking, lunging, and if he was off the lead, probably chase, to get that threat to stay away. Now, normal human thinking would go, well, if that's a problem and if you're worried about that, why don't you just stay under the radar? But that is not how dogs roll. They will run at something, they will bark at something in order to make it stay away. So what we basically have here is a dog that is running around, responding to every trigger, going, "Where's the danger? Where's the danger?" Like a little red light flashing every time it hears something. And then what starts to happen is the more excited and overwrought the dog gets, the more it's going to trigger bark because the dog's arousal level will go up, which affects the amount of cortisol sloshing around in their system, which affects the amygdala and how much of a drama you're going to get whenever there's a stimulus that the dog doesn't understand. So the more they do it, the more they do it. And if you've got multiple dogs, and you probably are very familiar with the Chihuahua feedback loop, where one dog will pick a stimulus up, it will decide it's important, it will start barking, and then all the others will start running around barking as well. They've no idea what's going on. They don't even worry about what's going on. It's just that that one dog has barked. So instantly, every other dog is in the same brain space. Where's the danger? And everyone is running around barking. So now we know that attaching an unpleasant stimulus to the output behavior that our dog gives us is not going to create the response we want. It can actually create a worse response. And in addition to that, start to withdraw from your relationship. And we don't want that. So what can we do to resolve some of this trigger barking? Now we know as well that our dog is doing this from a place of anxiety and worry, which is driven by excitement and it's also driven by rehearsal and tiredness. We can start to unpick it there. So rather than working with our dog when it's all kicking off or when it's all blown up, we are working with our dog further down the level. We are going deeper in down the level because when we try and work with our dog when it's all kicking off, our dog is in flight or flight. The dog is in a highly aroused emotional state. It's like trying to train or teach a toddler having a tantrum. How to do something, how to tie their laces or whatever. And in addition to that, they don't speak the same language. So we don't try and train our dog in the moment when it's all become highly charged and emotional. We go back and we look at the drivers of this excited behavior. So one of those is going to be your dog's arousal level. So what can we do to bring our general arousal level down? We could put in place, and there's a video on this on our site, a calming protocol. We can increase the amount of active rest that our dog gets. And I'll put a link to the video underneath this. So we will increase the active rest so our dog gets a chance to disengage and kind of empty their emotional bucket. We would then look at calming activities that our dog might need. So things that dogs like to do that create a calmer frame of mind. So that would be licking, that would be chewing, yeah, basically licking and chewing and hunting and scavenging. So we would look at ways we can recreate this for our dog so that our dog has positive things to do that create a calmer frame of mind for them, puts them in what we call a seeking mindset, a positive mindset. So we're going to create rest and we're going to create some calming activities for our dog. Next, we know that a dog rehearses an activity over and over again. We look at how we can manage the situation so our dog isn't able to rehearse that. So if they're up barking out the window every time somebody goes past, how can you manage that so the dog isn't rehearsing? So we might put some frosting across the window so the dog can't see outside. We might move the furniture so they can't sit on the back of the sofa. Mine used to like doing that. Sit on the back of the sofa and look out the window. So we think about where our triggers are happening and how can we stop that happening. If they're barking at the front door, we reduce their ability to engage with the front door. And when people come in the front door, and we do have a video about crazy at the door, again, I'll put a link to that below. But instead of allowing them to get involved at the front door and then trying to control the behavior there, we think about, okay, where can my dog go where he's got something more positive to do? So again, we might look at an activity that our dog likes, snuffling and hunting, recreate that with a snuffle mat or a snuffle ball and put the dog somewhere else so they do not have to rehearse whatever it is that is creating this trigger barking. And lastly, we would create a calming cue for our dog. And again, we build this when our dog is feeling calm and relaxed. So we will create a word. We use nice. Lots of trainers use different words. It's a calm word. It's not something where we go nice and we push the dog's arousal level up. It's a nice, drawn out, calm word. And we reinforce that word with a feed every time we say it. So, and we would start off in a really easy win situation, which might be your front room, your bedroom, somewhere in the house. Then as this word starts to mean something to our dog, we stretch the value of the environment. We might take them out to the garden. We might take them to a quiet field and we will build this calming cue in layers. We do not use it until it means something because it's really easy to poison. Once our dog understands the calming cue, we can then use it in lots of different situations where we need to be able to communicate to our dog that there's nothing to worry about. So they stiffen up before the explosion happens. You can interrupt that with your calming cue. We could also use an interrupter noise, which is very similar, but where you've built a noise that means come with me, this is more interesting. And again, you would build that. And there is a video on that on our channel. So we would interrupt that because you're going to get, you can see when your dog's going to explode. They're going to go stiff. They're going to become alert, pretty much going to stare. And that is an indicator that your dog is just about to explode. Generally, that body posture means an explosion is coming. You can interrupt that with your calming cue, with your interrupter cue. So, in summary, we are going to work on our general overall arousal level. We are going to work on calmness by introducing some activities which dogs find calmness and relaxing. We are going to stop the dog rehearsing the behaviors that create the trigger barking. So you would need to have a good look at your setup to see how you can get in there and stop the dog rehearsing it. And then lastly, you are going to create a cue which tells your dog, yeah, it's nothing to worry about, bud. I've got this. So that your dog, you are communicating to them that there is nothing to worry about. So I hope you found that useful. As ever, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really does make a difference to our reach and the algorithm. Please give us a thumbs up. If you found this video useful, I would love to hear your comments. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments below and I'll come back to you. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.